Pow Wow yo, yippee yay, guys. Power number 34, and I'm super excited to be with you guys today. Right out of the bat, we're going to start with Friend.tech, SocialFI, talking about this new experiment. So stay tuned in and enjoy it. And right after, of course, we'll talk about how SwissBorg Network is flourishing, talk about essentially Phaver, more about SocialFI, talk about the SwissBorg token with CHSB Guardians, and talk about some new initiatives within SwissBorg with a lot of new payment services. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazel, the proud founder of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. Guys, as you probably know, one of the best elements to bring mass adoption to Web 1 and Web 2 was social media. We're all interconnected thanks to Meta, thanks to WhatsApp, TikTok, and many others such as X today. But we know that this is probably one of the most controversial topics, which is that we don't own our data, we're not rewarded, and essentially we're monitored in a way that is quite scary. Web3 is all about changing this to finally make sure that you not only control the narrative, not only bring the value to a platform, but get rewarded for this. And that's the reason that I obviously had today talk about our true and crazy Friend.tech. Friend.tech has set a new narrative. A new narrative where essentially status is being bought. Is being essentially bought by buying keys, which used to be called shares. And essentially you create your profile. If you happen to be an influencer, there's a very good chances that your token or your keys will potentially get some value. And that by being valuable, there's probably more people that will like to acquire you. And the reason is that while people want to acquire your token or your keys, is that then you're part of that inner circle. And a lot of people have been saying to me is like, but Cyrus, why aren't this? This is definitely a Ponzi. I'm not saying it's not a Ponzi. I'm not saying it will not die eventually. But as a social experiment, as a real Web3 enthusiastic and warrior, if you do believe in this vision, I strongly believe that you should take action. Maybe just not put any real money, just play money with it, but to try to figure out why and how people interact. Obviously, as this thing is going to grow, there's going to be some crazy things going to be involved, and maybe there'll be eventually a rug pull. But what I like here is that this is exactly what status is in any other society, which is this Web 3, Web 2, Web 1, or even you look back 500 years ago. 500 years ago, if you wanted to be in part of any status, even in religion this happened, okay? Whereas that if you give money to a certain person that already has some status, like a king or queen or whatsoever, then you would potentially be able to be a noble. And in order to a king or for that big noble person to really have an influence on people, they would give a lot of donations to different churches and get them painted on different walls in order to say that there are some superpowers and they have the status. And if you say, yes, Cyrus, that was only the Middle Ages 500 years ago. What's about having a Rolex today? A lot of people say it's really nice to have a Rolex, but why is that everyone wants a Daytona Rolex? There's many Rolex that are nicer and whatsoever, but everyone wants one that is not affordable because it will impress other people. Same that goes from, for example, this shirt, right? This shirt, Zara, bought it probably for 25 francs or maybe 30 euros, whatever. In this case, it's nice, it's good quality, I like it. I could have just put Dolce & Gabbana on here and now this would be worth maybe 200 or 300. And thanks to that, I'll have maybe status. And same goes for your car. You could have a car that's an ugly old car, or you could have a very fancy one. And the only difference is that it's written fancy and is very expensive. So if you get where I'm going here, this might be a bubble, Friend.tech, but everything is about creating a bubble and creating a social status around that bubble and a narrative around it. What I like very much here is that users actually control the narrative. Is nothing else. And more importantly, it's about the narrative is actually buying it. So you see here, for example, so what's this whole Friend.tech all about, right? You create essentially your profile, you send, let's say 0.01 ETH, it goes into Base, so it's a layer 2 of Ethereum. As you guys know, Coinbase created their own thing. And then essentially you create your profile, which is nice, right? Then what you could do is that right away you will buy essentially one of your shares, okay? Which is very important. As you could see here, for example, I have today, so my share is 0.05 because 25 people have bought it and maybe few people have bought few amounts of my keys. And you could see here, for example, these are all the different people that I bought them keys. Some people, as you will notice, I know them quite well, like Louis, for example, DX is known as well. There's obviously a lot of burgers here. Romain, of course, I had to buy him. There's Altcoin Daily that are great influencers and they're good friends. Of course, we did the show. There's GM Borg, as you guys, there's Anthony, and there's Chris, right? And essentially, if I believe that Chris is a good friend and I want to talk to him as well, which is a very important thing, I will buy more of his shares. In this case, I'll say, you know what, Chris, I'll buy an extra token of Chris, and now it's worth $22, right? More expensive than initially what I bought, which I think so it was worth $1. So we already appreciate $20. So why am I buying Chris is that I already have a token of Chris. So I already could talk to him through this chat. So there's no real sense. But I still believe that Chris, as he's a big NFT collector, as he's really good into this Web3 game, there's a high chances that his share that's worth now 0.01406 Ether, maybe in a few days, it'll be maybe worth 0.5 like myself. But here what gets even more interesting is that, and Altcoin Daily, for example, this one is a bit different, right? He is now worth 0.35. I think so I bought it around the same price 2 days ago, or maybe at 0.25 maybe, or 0.27, I can't remember exactly. But what is interesting with here is that now we could communicate rather on peer-to-peer level, or we could communicate in this chat where everyone is here. And this is where it gets really, really, really nice, is that this could replicate in some way something that is like OnlyFans. So right now, everyone that has a holding of me, so the 25 holders of myself, all of these people that essentially own at least one key, will be able to be on that chat. And if I start want to give like super rare info about maybe trading tips, for example, or it could be eventually pictures or videos, or create a list, or just say like, oh, everyone that is part of this list will be able to be selected for the next alpha vaults, for example. Or the next person that has something in it will give some super special powers. It doesn't really matter. The so abstract about it. It's about creating this VIP list where people essentially believe in yourself. Some might speculate, but the holders will essentially could be like a premium member of whatever I'm offering, right? And this is something that's very important. It could be sexy nudes if, I was into that, or it could be, tokens. It could be CHSB tokens, or a special, a list for people to mint something new, any exclusive thing that could happen. And this is where I feel it gets to be very interesting. And if you look at how people are playing this game, it gets even more interesting, right? Because here you see all the people that essentially enter in my room, so I could talk obviously with them. But if you start exploring people, you could see that this is, for example, Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, you probably guys know him. He's the one who's behind 3 Arrow Capital and that then blew up. It's him. I definitely don't want to buy this guy because I don't really like what he did. But you can see a lot of different people are playing a different game. And these are, for example, the big influencers that are now growing. And let's take the case of Adam. It's a very interesting one. Because Adam, okay, what happened to him is he started right away with no one. I followed him on Saturday and there was like no one following this guy. No one bought him. But he bought 30 keys already. So he pumped a lot his value. A lot of his, so he was in like a top 10, 20 guys because he essentially bought a lot of his own tokens. And from that, if you could see today, essentially he still has 30 keys. So he could sell his 30 keys if he wants, of course, to anyone that wants it. Or essentially, he just wants to be there and be the top of the list. So essentially, Adam, he said, I want to buy myself in. I want to be something that will be big into this new Friend.tech inner circle. And maybe if I buy a lot, essentially, I will pump the value of my keys. And therefore, other people will see like, oh, it's actually cool to have his keys. The other cool part, what I like, is that you could actually see as well, essentially, who holds, for example, Ada and Koshran. You could see that a lot of people co-invest together, which is quite interesting. You see the activity of people buying. You see like more and more people are trading this guy for whatever reason. And the last thing, which is nice, is that you see even the guy is trading himself. And the reason he might be trading is that each time there's a trade, 10% is deducted from that trade. 5% goes to the platform and 5% actually goes to the holder of the key. Of the person itself. So if you trade any Adam, he'll get 5% out of it. So it's an initiative. One of initiative for him is obviously to make things trade. And if you look at, if you look at myself, for example, I have a little bit less than 2 Ether worth, and essentially I've earned a little bit more than 0.1 Ether in people trading essentially my name or trading my name, but I just did 2 trades. I just bought twice my name. This seems a very casino on social media, and is exactly the fact. But what is very important is that with crypto, a lot of these fun, crazy things start like that, but then could grow as a substantial, real first layer into new dApps and into new potentially SocialFI. And this is something really to look carefully. ETH-Len was ready already in 2017, which was the former Aave. It was only in 2020 when they did the atomic swap, where people were able to arbitrage, that they said like, oh, this Aave thing is amazing. I don't care about borrowing, lending. I care about doing arbitrage and getting leverage. And therefore, doing this atomic swap is going to bring me use real cases. And these arbitrageurs then brought in more money, and this more money brought more people. And then the DeFi summer happened, and now Aave is today with one of the #1 layers of all essentially DeFi. And this is exactly the thing I would love you guys to understand here. It's the same thing for the apes. The apes 2-3 years ago, Bored Apes, which is Bored Apes, just was another PAP with whatever, like some monkeys on it, which meant maybe something, but who really does care, right, about that? However, it has created something that then has made to the mass adoption and create all this NFT culture of 2020, 2021. And Friend.tech could be exactly one of that substrate where it'll say like, oh, now we understand what we want on SocialFI. It's not only people that will be able to potentially share different information, but there's this trading information that could be growing, the social status that could pump, and that social status could be monetized. And this is exactly the point I would like you guys to think about it and to say, okay, this is probably something I should get my hands dirty, or if it's not Friend.tech, it's probably the next one. And just be curious. Don't spend too much money. Don't get trapped into this. Again, there's probably going to be an airdrop here sooner or later. So this thing is still going to live for some time. There's no doubt about that. But maybe, if this is a big thing, I seriously think you should really look at it more seriously. And if it's not and it blows up, it doesn't matter. It's an experience, and life is about essentially enjoying experience. The good ones, and even enjoying better the worst ones, because that trains you to be just smarter and better for the next school. So I can only encourage you guys, check it out. Obviously, buy some of my shares. I'll be very happy. I don't know what I will do, but I'll probably make something out of it and make sure that you guys get something. I know that by tonight, the one who's holding the most amount of my keys, sorry, don't call them shares anymore, keys, well, I'll give him a special something. But what I really encourage in this message is to get your hands dirty, get to know how things are going viral, be part of it, at least in a very passive way, the minimum way, where you don't maybe lose money that you cannot afford, and enjoy it, regardless of, if you're making money or not. It's the experience behind it. And that's why I think that Friend.tech is really something innovative, and that will probably be remembered as potentially, those beautiful cats in 2017. That was a big thing, and that everyone wanted the crypto kitties, and today it's worth nothing. Or it could be potentially the Bored Apes, and that could change the whole narrative around SocialFI. Now let's talk about the do's and the don'ts, okay? Or talked about the don'ts right away with the risk. First thing, everyone has said that everything leaked and this thing blew up. That's not true. Well, essentially is that through the text, you can see every Twitter account that has been on this platform. But does that really matter? I mean, anyone could check Twitter, and worst case scenario to say, okay, who's talking about crypto on Twitter? So there haven't been, nothing has really been hacked or whatsoever, as people are saying. Number two, with all these new social experiments that goes for DeFi, SocialFi, GameFi, and everything, you can use your real wallet. I'm using this wallet that has, some amount of ETH, but it's not a big wallet for me, and I don't have a lot of interaction. So anything that is new for me, so that has less than 12 months at least, and has been due diligence by SwissBorg and many other platforms, I never touch it with serious money. And that's something very important, okay? You definitely can't lose all your essentially crypto here, okay? So try it out with like small amounts of crypto, which is fair. And if you lose it, it is not going to change your life. The third don't is don't spend too much money on this. It's a casino, guys. It's here to have fun. It maybe will build something on the long run, but right now it's not worth losing your money and your wealth. If it's play money for you, it's fine. If not, please don't get it too crazy into this. The fourth don't is, essentially, don't listen to much YouTubers, which is weird about what I'm saying right now. So now what you should do. So you should create a new MetaMask wallet onto your phone, for example. You could send like 0.1 ETH to it. That's a good start. And then you install essentially Friend.tech in an easy way. So just go Friend.tech. It will open in Safari. Safari, you could put it into your app. Then it'll give you a code. You enter the code. It'll mint your base wallet. You could directly from SwissBorg send your Ether. It will bridge it directly into base, which is great. And then you'll get your 0.1 Ether. You could then buy your own first key and then buy whoever you want. That's really the first way to do it. It's very simple, to be honest. There's a lot of different videos if you don't understand what I just said. Second do's is just start to buy some of your friends. I think so. It's really cool. If you here for the money, the best way that I looked at is look at the smartest people that do a lot of trading. And I know back then I had some few holders that I was looking at, and even in the top guys, you could see here, for example, this IM4X, this guy is a smart one. So he bought mine a few times and he sold it. He's really, I don't know what this guy is, but you could check on him, by the way, if you really want, on Twitter. So for a weird reason, you can't look on the Twitter account anymore. Huh, that's interesting. So back then you were able to, here you could. So why can I not do that with the other guy? So rewind, we'll take it off from before. So IM4X, for example, is one guy that has traded multiple times. His key is worth essentially a lot of money. And you could check his Twitter. He doesn't have so many essentially people on Twitter. So he's not like an influencer per se, but he's probably behind like NFT, and he's been in this game probably many, many times. So he knows what he's doing essentially. So you can look at these guys and like understand what's their behavior through essentially what they've been doing. So you see like he's behind the real Friend.tech. He's now starting to cash. So he's really one of these extensive trader here, and he's really good at it. And Cross of the Ages was awesome. Here, what you could see is like all different holders that he has. And very often you will see that he has some of the big guys that are really expensive. And if you want to buy these guys, well, essentially, it's going to be very expensive. There's a potential that's going to grow, but not substantially because it's already worth 1.7 ETH, which is crazy, right? But what you want to do is to look at those influencers that will play the game, whoever it is, and figure it out. Like any influencer that you really love, put it and check out his Twitter following, check out number 2, how much, for example, he has as what's the price behind, how many holders that he has. And in this case, for example, I wanted to buy Naranafal, right? Because he's been speaking about it. He's a big influencer, all that. If you guys don't know who Nafal is Alex's good friend, and he's been the Twitter space genius for some time, and even Elon Musk has been a good friend with him. So he only has 0.49. A lot of people believe that this was good to have because it's going to be very special, but he didn't buy a lot of people essentially. So he only bought some of himself, some of Scott, good friend Scott here, and crypto Manran that I bought as well. This guy. So he hasn't really played the game. So there's most probably a strong chances that he's not going to be that big. And by the way, I said that to Ran. Bring SwissBorg there too. You'll maybe know eventually, but Ran is a cool guy, as you guys know. He's one of the big crypto man Ran. But essentially, some people just bought it because I believe that they're nice guys and whatever, and it's just a club thing, right? And I don't think so I'm going to sell them. I'll just say like, hey man, I own one of your share. We should be friends. Are we already friends? And I respect you for that. And other people that you believe is that they just came in a very early stage. And the people that go into the early stage, well, these are the ones usually that will pump. And those are the to-dos. So for example, if you go at this guy, IMX, you could say like, I don't know, whatever. This guy it's only 0.01 for now. So it's not very expensive, but he doesn't have so many followers. So it might not be a good one or not a good one, but this is a way, like for example, that you could maybe see this could be a good trade or not a good trade. All in all, the don'ts is don't put too much money, don't put your real wallet, and the do's is try it out, test it out, have some fun, buy keys of your friends, of your favorite influencers, start to talk to them, start to create a narrative that is cool about owning your own keys, and maybe you could do something special for the people that own your own keys. And if not, figure this out. Things will grow, and more importantly, have fun. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, please have fun and don't take this too serious, but try the social experiment out of it. Question of the week, talking about serious things. For rather alpha investment opportunity will be run by the app like Export did. Of course, all the alpha opportunities will be built into SwissBorg, and based on your hero score, based on different quests, based on your premium, you will have access, and the amount of access will fluctuate based on these different essentially parameters. So I hope you'll enjoy it. There's obviously some to happen very soon, and you probably have already know what is the next one. Market cycles last Thursday, man. China whipped down everything, and it makes sense. Essentially, this huge accumulation here came from the great news about the ETF, essentially, and as well about the SEC approved, saying that XRP was not a security, which is very important. So we had this very nice bull, and we went to 31,000 for some time. I thought that this was going to maybe continue, but then there was no big news. And when there's no big news, it will try a little bit sideways, as we're in this macro environment, which is a bit weird, to be honest. High rates, essentially that doesn't favor risky assets. And there is no massive narrative on top of it, right? So when you have those big pumps, usually you'll have eventually a dump, or it will go pump, and just it will just continue. here went pumped and essentially went sidelines. And then if there was some good news, we could have went to a new floor. But here was on the opposite side. There was some of the narrative which was negative by the macro perspective. Maybe some coming from institutional money that are trying to play the market. And funny enough, it's just that people got wrecked on the downside this time. It was just horrible. Worse than FTX a period 9 months ago. A lot of short people against it blew up. And that's why we always recommend sophisticated traders. Good to have short positions. If not, usually if you have short and leverage, those things don't work well. If you want to be part of an amazing crew, we're looking for business data analysts and as well legal counsel. So please apply or refer any of your friends and you will receive a nice bounty. Favorite count of the week. Just want to talk about SwissBorg here and the fact that we're 440 people following SwissBorg, which is really good. Again, I think that Phaver is really worth the test. It's based on Lens protocol, which is really the hot SocialFI protocol that was built by the Aave team itself. I think so. If you haven't yet downloaded, just check it out. It's something that's very easy to do. You could connect your Lens profile if you have one. If not, it doesn't matter. It's a Web 2.5 type of app, a bit like SwissBorg in some ways. You really have a seamless experience. The app is getting better and better. You can now post pictures and photos and videos. To be honest, there isn't yet the content you have on Twitter. There's not as much fun that's on Twitter. But I still think that if we are there in the early days, we could be able to those people that will control the narrative over there. And for now, it's very Web3 oriented. So it's very good for Borgers to be there, to grow. I hope we get to 1,000, because this is what we talked about with the Phaver team, that we'll get to 1,000, even 2,000, we said, hopefully very soon. So download Phaver, check it out, and enjoy it. Next community events is going to be really cool in Valley Wednesday. Right after, we'll have the summer apéro in our office. I'll be there on Thursday, 31st. Really looking forward to this. It's going to be loads of meetups, so show up not next Thursday, but in 10 days. And then a really cool one, the day right after, for tous les francophones. If you're close to Valais or in Canton de Vaud or whatever, somewhere you want to go to Monte, it would be awesome to see on Friday. It's all about the chapter 1, which is Bitcoin. And the story of Bitcoin, it's going to be in French, this one. And the idea is to then replicate these chapters all around different cities where you live. And if you are interested to get this masterclass training and then hopefully grow the SwissBorg network or the crypto network around yourself with your peers, this would be awesome. So the SwissBorg Association is going to do a lot of this. Really looking forward to see how this is going to expand, and we'll keep you more tuned as soon as possible. Guardians of CHB updates. In the following week, you'll get an email where we'll be able essentially to have another poll, and this poll will be about creating a new utility within the Guardians. And so you'll have to say if you don't want anything, if you want to create a new campaign on layer 3, whatever it is. So another way to democratize the voting experience and be able to start to decentralize the voting system and make sure that we're all aligned on the same picture. Bam! This is it, guys. Apple Pay, Google Pay is here. This is a brand new break event. This is something that is really awesome. On iOS and Android, you're able to finally top up with Apple Pay in Google Pay. This might seem small for now, but think about all the newbies that will get into crypto thanks to SwissBorg by downloading the app in a few seconds, onboarding a few minutes, and then just 2 clicks being able to buy Bitcoin, Ether, SwissBorg token, whatever, participating in the launchpad, doing a lot of crazy things just through clack, clack, 2 different clicks. And for this very special celebration that we need to have together, well, in 5 seconds, I'll count down, and the first 25 people that essentially will be able to buy anything with Apple Pay or Google Pay will then be rewarded at $250 for the first place in SwissBorg tokens, $50 worth of SwissBorg tokens, the second place, third place $25, and the remaining 22 will still get $10. So let's count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. you guys have 60 seconds to go and make sure that you are gonna get one of those wonderful. So it's obviously going to go for people who are watching live, but people who are not watching live, you never know. In the summertime, there's few amount of people are watching live actually. So hey, try your test it out. I think you have 30 seconds left. And yeah, I really think that this is going to be a game changer. Again, the user experience, putting that at the highest end. And right now, what you're seeing, like checkout.com, that's cutting their ties with the Binance. You're seeing Binance that is removing all their fiat gateways of GBP, Euro, and other different currencies. This is only going to strengthen us. And I'm not happy that that's happening to Binance. What I'm happy is that we are not even keeping ours. We're building more and more and adding more and more, essentially fiat gateways, to embrace this real on-chain, off-chain, and able to bring the next billion people into Web3. So this is something I'm super proud, and you should as well. So it's going to be a massive changer for newbies. So now there's no excuse for anyone to get into crypto. Just a few clicks and it will happen. Congratulations to essentially the 25 people that have been rewarded. You'll be contacted by our wonderful members, and hopefully for the winning one, show some love. The first 3 people should have to show some love on Twitter or elsewhere. So this is going to be quite obvious, but the more you have price alerts, the better essentially you're able to trade, the better you're able to execute, and the more active you are, which is normal. So essentially what have happened on, for example, Thursday, I got an alert when Bitcoin hit 26,000, and I directly bought Thursday night. So I got like something at 25,800, right? So this is something that is very important, especially if you do DCA every day. I think so. It's great. That's the first thing for healthy behavior. But it's true that if you're doing that every day, it's great. But if you're able to put like a little bit more on a day, like for example on Thursday night or Friday, if you believe that the narrative is that in 1-2 years from now we'll get more than 24,000, which is probably a strong cases, then it's good to essentially do some swing trading time to time. And that's what I do. Like 20% of my wealth is where I swing with it. And what I mean swing is I try to buy, let's say, 25,000, and probably when we're going to reach 29,000, I'm just going to sell maybe 10% of my Bitcoin and be able to buy some back whenever I feel like it. So, and more importantly, I always keep a reserve of fiat, which essentially I build up my positions. So I auto invest all the time, which is true, but it's true that I like as well that beautiful potential trading aspect, because it's fun, and been doing it for 20 years. So why not? So essentially, I hope you guys have a lot of charts yourself. Have a lot of notifications that help you. And obviously we want to make more this even better and better. And you see right here that essentially, yeah, the currencies that have the 500 use the most setting price alerts essentially is CHSB, BNB, BTC, essentially. Then you have some chilies, which is funny. Dot, Ethereum, which is not the biggest, which is interesting, and then Matic Sol is a bit smaller. But here you had a lot of notifications, and then most people have lost them. So it'll be good to recreate these notifications in the center to make sure you have price alerts. Hope you enjoyed this. CHSB data, not a great week to be honest. 67 people pretty much. That's one of the lowest time of essentially the entire year, which brings us to the community index caster score, but it's not a good one. We're only at 3.0. Essentially, it's very difficult timing, I would say, for people to be active. But the good thing is that we count on you guys. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. It was about SocialFI and of course about SwissBorg Network. Again, enjoy anything that will bring mass adoption, whether it's good or bad. The experience out of it's the best thing that you could learn out of it. I think so. This is something that I always portrayed. Rather I won or I lose, I always win in my mind, because I always take something big away, especially from defeats. Essentially now that I'm 40 years old, right? I realized in my life that the biggest defeats, the hardest points in my life were the ones that taught me to become much better, to become humble, to embrace the victory of losing sometimes. Because the victory of losing sometimes and getting back on your feet and standing up, it gives you that that immense magical power is saying like, yeah, I didn't lose anything. Yeah, maybe you lose the fact that your ego has, blow up in your mind, but what I've really won is experience out of this. And next time we'll get better and better and better. And that's the real way of creating that extra, that will be an extraordinary person. So for that, what I always is enjoy every moment of your life. And as always, be wealthy, be healthy, love our CHSB and our equity. Take care, guys. Bye.
Through SwissBorg, all assets will have a fiat gateway. And here is the thing.
Premium features gives you zero fee trading.
It's an amazing fiat gateway.